This is the Bat Flip Podcast. Now here's your host, Damien, David, and Matt. Welcome in, everyone, to another Quick Flips episode. Damien and David here with you. We have breaking news. Ryan Helsley has signed a 2-year, $28 million deal with the Baltimore Orioles that includes an opt-out after year one. So he gets a big deal for the Orioles, who continue to remake the back end of that bullpen. They traded for Andrew Kittredge earlier this year or earlier this offseason. Now they signed Ryan Helsley to potentially be the closer there, with Felix Bautista having his shoulder surgery in August. Don't know about his timeline there long term. But, David, what do you think about Helsley getting $14 million here from the Orioles? Oh, we're losing David.
Yeah, significantly higher than I had him projected. Yeah, I thought Helsley would be more of a guy that's going to get less of a guarantee, right? Coming off of the struggles with the Mets, I was pretty certain Helsley was a one-year rebound guy. But in seeing this deal, we're seeing a lot of understanding by these teams of reputation, preceding results. We also saw this with Dylan Cease deal. I wasn't able to make it to the Dylan Cease talk last week. I think that's a huge number for a guy that was as bad as he was last year. But the teams are letting the analytics do the talking. Ryan Helsley's always been a pretty good reliever. 100-mile-an-hour fastball is a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And the report is, he was like tipping pitches last year with the Mets, right? It's the kind of thing that, it's bad when you have that kind of result in that half season like he had with the Mets, but it's clear the teams are not letting this half season dictate their opinion of Ryan Helsley, because they know he's been an elite reliever for a couple of seasons now.
Yeah, there had been some concern. I looked a lot into Helsley the past couple of years because he has been a rumored Dodger target for the past couple of years, right? Especially at the deadlines. There were some current concerns about what his fastball, like it is 100 miles an hour, but the metrics on it weren't that great. And then you go to the Mets and you start tipping your pitches. You kind of get blown up there. The peripherals don't look as good this year. Kind of gave you a little bit of pause for a step back. I think the $14 million price tag is probably a little rich here. I was looking, I had him at 12. David had him at 10. I think Matt had him at
10 as well.
Yeah. 10 as well.
You had 9.5, sorry. 1 year for all three of us. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets the extra year with the opt-out in there. I think the reliever market's just a lot higher than what we thought. Raisel Iglesias getting $16 or $17 million. I think that bumped up this to a 14 mil. I think it was right around that 10 to 12 million mark. I think that the market should sell for it now. But the thing is the Orioles getting aggressive and going and getting people, right? This is something we've kind of harped on them that they haven't done recently. They haven't went out there and got the pitching. They've traded for Kittredge. This offseason. They trade for Helsley as a way to start revamping that bullpen a little bit more. They still need some starting pitching, but I don't know. I guess Helsley's a good enough reliever to where it's like you could bounce back pretty easily. Just don't know. I think 14 million is maybe just a slight overpay, but you do it in the offseason to go and get your guy earlier.
That and, Baltimore specifically, one, they have money to spend, right? New ownership group that's willing to influx some cash into the team. And then two, right, this is a group that it's not easy to pitch in Baltimore historically, right? They've had trouble getting free agents to sign there, especially on the pitching side of things. So to me, it's less of an overpay and more of this is what it's going to cost for free agents to come to Baltimore. You have to erase the stigma that, the pitching development's not good, that the pitching, it's hard to pitch there, right? The hitters have a kind of easier time feasting. You have to break that. Very similar to what we've seen with some of these other smaller market teams that have historically not spent, that may try to turn around and spend with some of these reports. Like if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates trying to spend on offense, you have to convince a free agent it's worth it to come there.
Right.
They're going to have to spend up. It doesn't matter if they went out and tried to sign a big name free agent, they're going to have to spend more money than a bigger team will already, could offer. So to me, this is like it's an overpay of sorts, but if Baltimore was if I was going to predict Baltimore to sign Ryan Helsley, I'd probably be right around this number, right? Because I would think Baltimore's going to have to pay a little bit more. And I don't know that I would expected him to do this, Saturday after Thanksgiving, right? It's college football rivalry Saturday, right? We're jamming this in during, around our games. Clemson just beat South Carolina. Like there's a lot going on today. And Ryan Helsley, I mean, that's a pretty sizable closer move. One thing I think we should hit on briefly is that this does push Felix Bautista out of the closer role in Baltimore, probably long term. I think Helsley probably gets the nod entering the season with the big money.
Remember, Felix Bautista had shoulder surgery in August, late August.
That's right.
He had a torn labrum rotator cuff surgery. He's probably to miss at least half of next season, if not most of next season, anyways.
Yeah. I did forget
that's
about
why
surgery.
He agreed to a very low ARB number, I think like $2.5 million because of it. So Helsley's going to be the closer, pretty much, right? If you get anything from Bautista next year, you're kind of you just take whatever you can get from him at the end of the year. I think this sets up an interesting. Your back end looks pretty solid now with Helsley. Kittredge is pretty good. Keegan Aiken's been pretty solid for them as well. The rest of the bullpen you kind of look at and are like, who's going to be here? Who's going to be the guys for you there? It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this pitching staff works out. Do they sign another starter and push a guy like Povich or something into that bullpen to be another left-handed reliever there? That's to be said, but saying that, what do you think is next for the Orioles? What do you think should be their next plan?
Right, and they've also signed a corner outfielder, traded for.
They traded for Taylor Ward.
Completely blanking on who they grabbed.
They traded
That's
Grayson.
They got Ward for Grayson Rodriguez. So right, so the offense has even been addressed slightly. I think you're right. I think it's starting pitching. I wonder. I believe I have them signing Merrill Kelly. And I know it's you who has them signing Merrill Kelly. I had them getting a starter who was Lucas Giolito. Perfect. That range, that tier of starter is where I was expecting them. I think this signing might actually make me reconsider at least my primary thoughts on that and say they might go after a Zach Gallen type starter, somebody that you're going to have to pay 9 digits
Michael
to.
King.
I think to pull him in. Yeah, Michael King. Well, Michael King's. I think Michael King's a fit for 30 teams. Right. I said that on our free agent show. I think he's a fit for 30 teams, right? If you have a team that is going to throw out starting pitching, should be in on Michael King. I think that price tag goes way, 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 way up. But yeah, he's another fit. Framber Valdez actually kind of makes some sense. If you can, again, the Framber Valdez thing, like the narrative on him is so down right now. I wonder if a team like Baltimore doesn't give like the kind of expected contract to Framber and kind of pull him in. That might actually be the move. Go sign Framber, big money. I think Baltimore's willing to spend. The new ownership group seems like you're not spending on relievers if you're trying to be a frugal market, right? That's the easiest thing to sign. The dregs to trade for. They're the easiest ones to trade for, the easiest ones to hit on. Get a half good season of a reliever. It's not very difficult. But to sign the big names means that your front office is confident in the budget the ownership has given them, that it's not going to withhold anything, right? It's not going to prevent them from going out and adding more to this team, which is very clearly incomplete. So it's encouraging, I think, if you're a Baltimore fan. It's like, yes, you're spending on a reliever, but it's a good reliever who's always going to get a sizable deal in this range. So that doesn't concern me at all. I don't think that should concern Baltimore fans, but obviously the Taylor Ward, Grayson Rodriguez trade, we didn't go live for it. Maybe we drop that in here as well. What's your thoughts on that?
We can talk a minute about it, but on our show on Monday, I want to go more in depth.
Okay.
Yeah. We have that. We have the Sonny Gray stuff. I talk more in depth on Monday about that. But I think it's an interesting deal. I don't know if I particularly love it, but I think it comes down to is Grayson healthy? Yeah. It seems like Baltimore maybe doesn't think that. They thought they needed an outfield bat, and there wasn't much out there in the free agent market.
There isn't. And
Ward's only a rental, so it's kind of weird, but I don't know. I want to save most of that to talk more on Monday.
I'll save my takes on that for Monday.
Yeah.
I'll refrain in that case, since you guys can come back in on Monday, hear the live show, and we'll try to get Damien out of here so you can watch his teams.
Real quick before we do, because whatever they're on right now, but so this right now, the general consensus is that I'm looking at. I think we undershot the reliever market pricing.
Yes,
a little bit, right? I think most of our stuff, like I had Devin Williams going for 12. I had Helsley going for 12. I had where's Iglesias? I had him going for 10. He went for like 16 or 17. So I think what we're seeing is that just the reliever market pricing, even for some sort of not particularly closers, but back end relievers, it's a lot higher than what we even thought. You allow that general consensus too?
Yeah, I think I am. Especially because you have a lot of top names in this reliever market. One guy I don't think we undershot is Edwin Diaz. Think he's going to get his $25 million a year. It's just a matter of who gives it to him. Robert Suarez should get in this range type of deal. But yeah, I have him going for Robert Suarez going for 13. I think if I had to pick on that right now, I'd probably bump that up to 15 or 16 million. Yeah. So, that's just I think kind of the state of things. I don't think a guy like, I guess my thought on this was when it comes to Helsley, he was a guy that struggled so mightily down the stretch, right? He was one of I think he in half the season, he was the Mets' worst win probability added player of the season. He had the highest negative value. That's impressive in half a season as a reliever. You don't get that many opportunities in half a season to pile that on, and he managed to do that. So this is a guy coming off a really bad half a season. He got 14 million guaranteed. Yeah. Really 28 million guaranteed. I mean, this is a good deal. I think Brad Keller gets a really, really strong deal out of this. That might take him. The Cubs typically don't want to pay for relievers. That might take the Cubs out of the Brad Keller market. Just a lot of repercussions of this.
The Keller one's going to be interesting because there is some interest as a starter potentially doing that whole jump back thing. So there was some with Helsley, but this is just a pure closer deal.
That was a horrible. That was a horrible idea, by the way. I'm glad he's signing as a reliever. I do not believe in Ryan Helsley as a starter. This is a 2-pitch mix. Those guys are typically not the guys you want to convert. It's the guys with 5 or 6 pitches that are kind of slimming down to 2 in the reliever role that you want to move over. This is not one of those guys, I don't believe.
So, well, alrighty. Anything else we're going to do before we wrap this one up?
Nope. But it was a good holiday. Hope you had a good one. We'll see you back on Monday though, for sure.
Yep. So this was another Quick Flip episode. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys back on Monday.